For centuries, the galaxy had been alive with empires, alliances, and endless rivalries. Great alien powers clashed for territory and influence, but none of them spared a thought for the small blue planet on the edge of a spiral arm. Humanity, once loud in its own wars, had grown silent. Old records described them as reckless and unstable, always fighting among themselves until they nearly destroyed their own home. After those chaotic ages, the galaxy dismissed humans as a weak, fading race. Yet the truth was far different. On Earth, after rebuilding from past wars, people had united under the Council of Nations. They no longer wasted energy fighting each other. Instead, they looked up at the stars, building quietly, watching, waiting. Colonies spread across nearby systems, hidden behind simple defenses and carefully chosen routes. No great signals were sent out to announce their progress. Humanity kept its growth silent, almost invisible to outsiders. The galaxy believed humans had disappeared into history. But deep inside, humanity had been preparing. Commander Ryan stood on the bridge of the Valor, a sleek scout ship gliding through the emptiness of contested space. He looked calm, but his eyes carried the sharp focus of a man who knew danger was always close. The Valor was not large compared to the fleets of alien powers, yet it was packed with the best human technology, adaptive shields, rapid strike cannons, and engines built for both speed and endurance. "Status report," Ryan said. "Engines steady, shields at full," replied his officer, Myra. "No contacts on main scan yet." Ryan nodded. Their mission was simple: to test the borders, to see how alien empires reacted when a human ship entered their space. For years, the Council of Nations had kept humans hidden. Now, small steps were being taken to reveal their presence. The Valor was one of the first ships chosen to break the silence. It did not take long before alien eyes noticed. A fleet of Thalar ships appeared on their sensors, cutting across the void with sharp, triangular hulls that glowed with red lines of energy. The Thalar were known as proud warriors, always looking for battles to prove their strength. To them, the small human scout ship was nothing but an insect straying into the path of giants. "Hailing transmission incoming," Myra reported. The screen flickered, revealing the tall, armored figure of a Thalar captain. His voice was filled with amusement. "A human ship? Impossible. I thought your kind was gone from the stars. You dare enter Thalar space?" Ryan stood tall, calm, and steady. "This is Commander Ryan of the human vessel Valor. We are passing through contested space. We do not seek conflict." The alien captain laughed, the sound echoing like grinding stone. "Conflict is not something you can avoid, little human. It is something we bring to you." The transmission cut, and the Thalar fleet moved in. On the bridge, tension rose. Myra turned to Ryan, her voice firm but edged with unease. "Orders, Commander." Ryan looked out at the enemy ships closing in. His crew was well trained, and his ship was strong, but they were still outnumbered 10-1. Yet he did not show fear. Instead, he spoke with steady resolve. "Shields up. Weapons online. We hold our ground." The first blast from the Thalar fleet hit the Valor, shaking the ship with raw force. But the adaptive shields absorbed the strike, shifting energy patterns to counter the attack. The alien captain expected the human vessel to crumble instantly, but it held. "Return fire," Ryan ordered. The Valor unleashed a precise volley of cannon fire, striking the nearest Thalar cruiser. The enemy ship's shields flickered, then cracked, forcing it to retreat. On the bridge, cheers rose from the crew, but Ryan raised a hand. "Stay focused. This is only the beginning." The battle grew fierce. The Thalar fleet circled, firing in coordinated bursts. But the Valor moved with speed and precision, dodging, weaving, striking where the enemy was weakest. Human tactics were different from what the Thalar expected. While alien warships relied on raw power, the Valor fought with agility and clever positioning. Two enemy cruisers fell in flames, their hulks drifting into the void. Across the fleet, confusion spread. The Thaler captain stared in disbelief. A single human ship, one that should have been destroyed in moments, had not only survived but also destroyed part of his fleet. The arrogance on his face faded, replaced by anger and a flicker of fear. Ryan, calm even in victory, made his choice. The Valor could not win a prolonged fight against such numbers. They had made their point. Humans were not to be underestimated. Set course for withdrawal, Ryan ordered. We've shown them enough. The Valor jumped to faster than light speed, vanishing into the deep black of space before the Thaler could regroup. Silence filled the bridge, broken only by the steady hum of the engines. Myra looked at Ryan, her eyes shining with both relief and pride. They will talk about this, she said softly. Ryan gave a small nod. Good. Let them talk. Let the galaxy remember that humanity is still here. And across the stars, the first whispers began to spread. Whispers of a people thought forgotten. Whispers of humans who had returned with strength and fire. The galaxy had underestimated them. That mistake would echo for years to come. The galaxy did not stay silent after the escape of the Valor. The Thaler Empire spread the news quickly, though not in the way humans might have hoped. They did not speak of courage or cleverness. Instead, they told every world that humans had trespassed, that they had dared to resist, and that Thaler ships had been struck down by a primitive race. The story carried tones of insult and disbelief. To the proud Thaler, the loss of even two ships was shameful. To the rest of the galaxy, it was something far more dangerous. It was a spark of curiosity. Could humans truly fight? Commander Ryan and the crew of the Valor had little time to wonder what rumors spread among alien stars. Their mission had changed. Instead of returning straight to Earth, they moved carefully through outer systems, collecting data, observing reactions, and measuring how alien fleets moved after their first encounter. Myra studied the maps on her console. We are being followed, she said. Multiple signatures, likely Thaler patrol groups. They are not letting us go easily. Ryan stepped closer, his eyes narrowing at the display. They will want revenge. They cannot accept being embarrassed by a single ship. The truth of his words arrived soon enough. 3 Thaler warships cornered the Valor near an asteroid field. The largest of them, a command cruiser, blocked the path forward. The captain's face appeared again on the screen, his expression burning with fury. Human commander, the alien growled. You humiliated me in front of my fleet. You will not escape this time. Your ship will be torn apart, and your name forgotten. Ryan stood tall, showing no sign of fear. We will defend ourselves, just as before. The mistake is yours, Captain, for thinking we will kneel. The signal cut, and the enemy ships closed in. The battle began in an explosion of light. The Thaler command cruiser fired first, a beam of pure energy that split across the shields of the Valor. Sparks flew across the bridge, but the shields held. The crew moved quickly, their hands steady despite the danger. Shields down to 70%, Myra reported. Bring us into the asteroid field, Ryan ordered. Use the rocks for cover. The Valor darted forward, weaving between massive stones of iron and ice. The enemy ships followed, their cannons blazing, but the asteroids blocked clean shots. Every moment, Ryan ordered sharp turns and sudden bursts of firepower. The Valor struck from cover, its cannons tearing holes in enemy shields. The Thaler underestimated human tactics. Where their ships relied on direct power, Ryan used the battlefield itself. Asteroids became weapons as the Valor fired thrusters at just the right time, causing the massive stones to collide with enemy vessels. One Thaler warship was smashed against a drifting boulder, its hull breaking apart. On the bridge, the crew cheered, but Ryan raised his hand. Stay sharp. 2 more remain. The enemy pressed harder, furious at the loss. The command cruiser launched a swarm of drones, small machines armed with cutting lasers. They raced toward the Valor like a storm. "Point defense active," Myra called. Cannons along the ship's hull fired rapid bursts, shredding drones one after another, but some still struck the shields, burning holes of light. Ryan's voice stayed calm. "Target the engines of the smaller cruiser. Don't waste fire on the main ship yet." The Valor turned sharply, releasing a barrage of focused fire. The smaller cruiser's engines exploded in a chain reaction, leaving it drifting helplessly among the asteroids. That left only the command cruiser. The alien captain roared across the comms once more. "You will not win, human. My ship is stronger, my weapons greater." Ryan looked out at the massive vessel bearing down on them. His ship was smaller, weaker in sheer power, but he knew something the alien did not. Humans had learned to fight when outnumbered, outgunned, and underestimated. "Divert all power to forward shields," Ryan ordered. "Prepare the rail cannon." The Valor's crew moved quickly, rerouting energy from non-essential systems. The ship's main rail cannon, hidden until now, powered up with a low hum that grew into a rising thunder. The asteroid field around them seemed to tremble as the weapon reached full charge. The Thaler cruiser fired again, heavy beams striking the Valor head-on. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring. But the shields held just long enough. "Fire," Ryan commanded. The rail cannon unleashed a single, blinding shot. The projectile ripped through space at impossible speed, slamming directly into the Thaler cruiser's central core. For a moment, the enemy ship glowed with violent light, then it broke apart, torn in half by the force. Silence filled the void. The last pieces of the command cruiser drifted away, burning into nothing. On the bridge of the Valor, the crew sat in stunned silence. They had won again, against impossible odds. Myra exhaled, her voice soft. 3 ships destroyed. "Commander, they will never ignore this." Ryan nodded slowly. He knew she was right. Their victory meant survival today, but it also meant something far larger. The galaxy would see this as a challenge. The Thaler would not forgive their losses, and other empires would start to pay attention. "Then let them come," Ryan said at last, his voice steady and strong. "Let them test us. We will show them all." As the Valor left the asteroid field, carrying the scars of battle, the message was already traveling faster than light. Across the galaxy, leaders of alien empires heard the same report: humans had fought the Thaler and won. It was no longer rumor. It was truth. And with that truth, the first real clash between humanity and the galaxy had begun. News of the battles spread like fire through the stars. At first, alien empires laughed. How could one human ship defeat the proud Thaler? They called it luck, or trickery. But as reports kept arriving, wreckage of Thaler cruisers drifting in asteroid fields, survivors whispering about human tactics, the laughter faded. Curiosity turned to unease. Unease turned to fear. On Earth, the Council of Nations gathered in the Great Chamber of New Geneva. Every seat was filled, every leader alert. They had waited for this moment for decades, always planning, always preparing. The silence of humanity was over. Admiral Cole stood at the center of the chamber, tall and broad, with sharp eyes that had seen many years of command. His voice carried power, steady and clear. "The galaxy knows we are here," he said. "They will not leave us alone now. The Thaler will come again, stronger, and other empires will join them. If we do nothing, our colonies will fall, one by one. If we stand together, we can survive. More than that, we can rise." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some leaders looked fearful, others proud. Councilwoman Myra, once Ryan's officer, now a voice at Earth's table, spoke with firm conviction. "We saw what one ship could do against impossible odds. Imagine what a fleet can do. The time to stay hidden is over." The time to unleash our strength has come. For a moment, silence settled over the chamber. Then one by one, leaders nodded. Resolutions were signed. Messages flashed to every colony and every shipyard. The decision was made. Humanity would call forth the Armada. In orbit around Earth, shipyards came alive with furious energy. Massive docks opened, releasing half-finished cruisers that were completed in record time. Factories burned day and night, turning steel and plasma into war machines. Across the colonies, young men and women lined up to enlist, their faces shining with determination. They were not driven by conquest but by pride, by survival, and by the chance to prove to the galaxy that humanity was not weak. Ryan, now returned from his mission, stood with Admiral Cole on the observation deck above the main shipyard. Below them, a Titan-class dreadnought was being constructed. It was larger than any vessel humanity had ever built, a floating city of war, its armor plated with metals mined from distant moons. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Cole said quietly. Ryan nodded, his eyes locked on the massive ship. "The galaxy will not expect this. They think we are scattered, fragile. They do not know how far we have come." Cole turned to him, his voice deep. "They will know soon. But it will cost us. War always does." Ryan did not look away from the dreadnought. Better to pay the price and live free than to bow and be forgotten. Far beyond Earth, on a small mining colony called Red Haven, the call to arms reached the people. Families gathered in the central square as the announcement played on the great screen. By order of the Council of Nations, all colonies are called to defend humanity. The Armada rises. Volunteers are requested for service. The future of our kind depends on unity. In the crowd, a young miner named Dan clenched his fists. He had spent his life digging in the dark, dreaming of stars. Now, the stars were calling back. "I'm going," he said to his sister. "I won't stay here while others fight for us." His sister's eyes filled with worry, but also with pride. "Then go. And make sure they remember your name." Stories like his repeated on every world. Farmers left their fields, engineers left their workshops, scholars left their studies. Humanity moved with one heartbeat, one purpose. Back on Earth, Ryan gathered with his crew once more aboard the Valor. Though their ship was small compared to the dreadnoughts being built, it was now a symbol, a legend whispered across colonies. Myra looked at the crew, her voice steady. "We are no longer just scouts. We are the flame that lit the fire. Others will follow, but our duty is not finished. We will guide the Armada into battle." The crew cheered, their spirits unbroken by past dangers. They knew harder battles were coming, but they also knew the galaxy would never again dismiss them as weak. Meanwhile, in alien halls far from Earth, leaders of the Thaler, Xeruk, and Dran empires debated in anger. "They are gathering ships," one alien hissed, its voice echoing in the council chamber. "We thought them broken, but they are stronger than we believed." "Then we must crush them before they grow further," another growled. "If humans rise unchecked, they will upset the balance of the galaxy." But deep inside, fear rooted itself in their hearts. They had underestimated humans once. To underestimate them again might mean disaster. On the edge of Earth's orbit, the first battle groups of the Armada took shape. Lines of cruisers, destroyers, and carriers stretched across the blackness of space, their hulls shining under the distant sun. Engines lit in unison, 1,000 lights forming a single blaze of power. Ryan stood at the window of the Valor, watching the fleet form. His voice was quiet but carried to every crew member. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy thought we were forgotten. They will soon learn we are not only alive, we are ready." And so, humanity prepared to march into the stars, not as prey, but as a force that could no longer be ignored. The call to arms had been answered. The Armada was rising. The galaxy did not wait long to test humanity's strength. The Dran Empire, proud and greedy, chose a human colony as their first target. They believed it would be simple. Red Haven was a small world of miners and farmers, defended by only a handful of local patrol craft. The Dran sent a fleet of 20 warships, enough to terrify most colonies into surrender. Their commanders expected no fight, only submission. But they did not know the Armada had already risen. On Red Haven, alarms sounded as the alien fleet appeared in orbit. Families hurried into shelters, and the local defense ships scrambled into the sky, brave but hopelessly outmatched. From the command center, Governor Lin watched the enemy ships spread across the stars. Her voice trembled, but she spoke firmly into the comms. All civilians to bunkers. All defenses online. Hold as long as you can. Help is coming. Many on the planet doubted those words. Against so many alien warships, what help could exist? Then the stars themselves seemed to move. A ripple of light tore through space as the first human battle group arrived. The Iron Wings, a fleet of 25 human ships, emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Fighters poured from carriers, their engines burning bright like a storm of fireflies. At the center of the formation stood the Resolute, a heavy cruiser bearing the proud emblem of the Armada. The people of Red Haven lifted their eyes to the sky. For the first time, they saw not weakness but power. Their protectors had come. Admiral Cole commanded the fleet from the Resolute. His voice carried across every ship, steady and unshaken. Today the galaxy learns the truth. We do not bow. We do not break. We fight as one. For Red Haven. For Earth. For humanity. The comms lit with voices answering him. For humanity. The battle began. The Dran warships turned to meet the new arrivals, their cannons flashing. The sky lit with streams of fire, missiles streaking across the void. But the human fleet moved with precision. Fighter squadrons swarmed ahead, darting between blasts of energy. They struck at weak points, ripping through enemy engines and weapons with relentless speed. Pilots fought with daring maneuvers, weaving through the chaos. Behind them, human destroyers fired coordinated salvos, each shot calculated to open a hole in the Dran formation. The Resolute itself advanced steadily, its guns thundering with measured power, each strike pushing the enemy back. The Dran commanders shouted orders in panic. They had expected frightened miners. Instead, they faced a storm unlike any they had seen. On the surface of Red Haven, families huddled in bunkers, listening as the battle shook the skies above. Children clung to their parents, whispering in fear, until the first cheer broke out. "Their ships are burning," a voice shouted. Through small windows and screens, they saw pieces of enemy vessels falling in flames, streaking across the atmosphere like meteors. For the first time, the people of Red Haven felt hope. Aboard the Valor, Ryan and his crew fought alongside the fleet. Though their ship was smaller, its speed and sharp weapons made it a spear point in the fight. Myra guided the ship through tight maneuvers, her hands steady on the controls. "Enemy cruiser on our tail," she reported. "Break right," Ryan ordered. "Bring rail cannon to bear." The Valor spun through the crossfire, its shields sparking under enemy fire. Then its rail cannon fired, a single shot tearing through the pursuing cruiser's bridge. The alien ship drifted lifeless, and the Valor shot ahead to strike again. The battle raged for hours. Human ships took damage, some falling, but the Armada fought with unity. Where one ship faltered, another covered. Where an enemy pressed too hard, humans turned the trap back against them. Finally, with their formation broken and half their fleet destroyed, the Dran tried to retreat. But Admiral Cole gave no room for mercy. "Hold formation," he commanded. "We finish this." The human fleet surged forward as one, crushing the fleeing ships with relentless fire. The last of the Dran fleet exploded in a blaze that lit the skies of Red Haven. When the battle ended, silence filled space. The wreckage of alien ships drifted among the stars, glowing with fading fire. The Armada remained, battered but unbroken, their banners shining proud. On Red Haven, the bunkers opened. People flooded into the streets, cheering, their voices carrying into the night. Children waved small flags of earth, and miners raised their tools in salute. They had been saved not by chance, but by the might of humanity united. Ryan stood on the bridge of the Valor, his crew watching the celebrations below. Myra smiled softly. They will never forget this day. No, Ryan agreed. His voice was quiet but firm. And neither will the galaxy. They thought us prey. Now they see the hunters. Across alien worlds, the news spread fast. For the first time in centuries, an empire had been beaten in open battle by humans. Whispers grew louder. Fear deepened. The Thaler watched with anger. The Dran licked their wounds. The Xeric studied in silence, waiting. Each empire realized the same truth: if humanity could do this with one fleet, what would happen when the full Armada rose? And so the galaxy shifted. No longer could they dismiss the humans as forgotten. No longer could they laugh. The Armada had spoken, and the stars had heard. The destruction of the Dran fleet at Red Haven shook the galaxy. No one expected humans to fight with such power. Even fewer believed they could destroy a full invasion force. Yet the wreckage of Dran ships drifting in space was proof for all to see. In the halls of alien governments, fear began to spread. On the world of Thalera Prime, the High Council of the Thaler Empire gathered in their great chamber. Tall figures clad in armor stood in silence, their glowing eyes fixed on the central display, a recording of the battle above Red Haven. Human ships moved with sharp precision, striking together like a single blade. They were not supposed to be capable of this, one counselor hissed. Humans were scattered, weak, forgotten. Another slammed his clawed hand against the table. This is a lie. They must have stolen technology. No human could build ships like that. But the High Commander rose, his voice low and grim. It is no lie. The humans are united. That is their strength. Alone, they are nothing. Together, they are dangerous. If they continue to grow, they will rival even us. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. For centuries, the Thaler had ruled through fear. Now they felt it themselves. On the ice world stronghold of the Xeric Dominion, leaders gathered in shadowed halls. The Xeric were old and calculating, masters of strategy. They studied reports not with anger, but with cold thought. They fight differently, one elder said. They do not throw lives away as the Thaler do. They move with patience, striking where the enemy is weakest. This is not chance, it is discipline. Another elder folded her hands. If humans spread their tactics among the stars, they will gain allies. That cannot be allowed. But the Supreme Elder shook his head. Allies? No. The other empires fear them as much as we do. There will be no alliance with humans. Only war. The Dran Empire, humiliated, was loudest in its anger. Their rulers raged across their courts, demanding vengeance. They have embarrassed us before the galaxy, one shouted. The Dran are mighty, yet we were broken by a lesser race. But even among the Dran, fear gnawed at pride. The Armada had crushed their fleet so completely that rebuilding would take years. The Dran's enemies now looked at them as weak, while humans looked stronger each day. Meanwhile, on Earth, the mood was different. In New Geneva, crowds filled the streets, waving flags and chanting the names of the heroes of Red Haven. Children dreamed of becoming pilots, engineers, or commanders. Factories roared day and night, forging weapons and starships. The Armada grew larger every week. Admiral Cole stood with Commander Ryan on the deck of the Resolute, watching another fleet depart for training. Dozens of ships glided through the black, their hulls shining under the sun. The galaxy is afraid, Cole said. Ryan nodded. Good. Let them fear. But fear will not stop them from coming. Cole's eyes were hard. No. They will come with everything they have. And we must be ready. On the colony of Red Haven, life slowly returned to normal, though nothing would ever be the same. The people now carried pride in their hearts. They had been saved, not by chance, but by the strength of their own kind. Miners who once worked in silence now spoke with fire in their voices. Farmers painted the Armada's emblem on their barns. Every family had someone training for service. Dan, the young miner who had volunteered, now stood in a crisp new uniform, ready to leave for his first posting. His sister hugged him tightly. "Come back," she whispered. "I will," he promised. "But if I don't, know that I fought for us all." His words carried the spirit of millions. Far away, the alien empires argued among themselves. The Thaler wanted immediate war. The Dran demanded vengeance. The Xeric counseled patience, but even they agreed humanity could not be allowed to rise unchecked. In a secret council, representatives of the three powers met. "The humans are too bold," the Thaler commander growled. "They must be destroyed before their armada grows larger." "And if we fail?" the Xeric elder asked. "If they defeat us as they defeated the Dran? Then we will look weak before the entire galaxy." The Dran leader snarled. "We cannot sit idle. Strike now, or soon they will strike us all." The council ended without unity. Their pride and mistrust poisoned every plan. Yet one truth remained in every alien mind: humanity was a threat. In the quiet of space, Ryan looked out at the stars from the Valor. The crew was silent, each lost in thought after long days of training. Finally, Myra spoke. "They're afraid of us now." Ryan nodded slowly. "Yes. But fear can turn into something worse. It can turn into hate. And when it does, they will unite against us." He turned his gaze back to the endless stars, his voice steady. "When that day comes, we must be stronger than ever before. Because the galaxy will throw everything at us. And we cannot fail." Across the stars, fear spread like a shadow. The galaxy no longer underestimated humanity. But fear would not keep them apart forever. It would drive them together, forging a storm that would soon fall upon Earth. The next great clash was coming. Humanity had won its first victory, but the true test had yet to begin. The galaxy had reached its limit. The Thaler, the Dran, and the Xeric argued for months, but in the end, their fear of humanity bound them together. For the first time in centuries, rival empires set aside their differences. They would form a coalition fleet, vast and terrible, to crush Earth before humanity's armada could grow beyond control. It was the largest gathering of warships in generations. Thousands of alien vessels filled the skies of the Vegas system, their weapons bristling, their banners flying. Each empire sent its strongest forces. The Thaler brought their savage war cruisers, the Dran their heavy bombardment ships, and the Xeric their disciplined battle lines. To the galaxy, this fleet was unstoppable. To the coalition, victory was certain. To humanity, it was the greatest danger they had ever faced. On Earth, alarms rang as reports arrived. The coalition was coming. The Council of Nations met in haste, but there was no debate this time. Everyone knew what had to be done. Admiral Cole stood at the head of the chamber, his voice steady and strong. "This is the battle we have prepared for. The coalition comes with overwhelming power, but we are not the same people they thought we were. We are united. We have the Armada. We will fight, and we will not break." Across Earth and the colonies, his words spread. Families gathered in silence, listening. Soldiers tightened their armor, pilots readied their fighters, engineers worked without rest. Everyone knew the truth: this battle would decide humanity's place in the stars. The Armada gathered in orbit above Earth, more than 500 ships now ready for war. Lines of destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts stretched across the blackness. At the center stood the Titan-class dreadnoughts, each larger than a city, glowing with power. Commander Ryan stood on the bridge of the Valor, looking out at the fleet. Beside him, Myra checked her systems with calm precision. "They outnumber us," she said quietly. Ryan nodded. "Yes. But numbers don't decide every battle. Resolve does. And we have that." Admiral Cole's voice came through the comms, heard by every ship in the Armada. "Men and women of Earth, today we fight not for conquest, but for survival. The coalition believes we are weak. They believe fear will break us. They are wrong. Let this day show the galaxy who we truly are." A cheer echoed across the fleet. Engines roared. Weapons charged. The Armada set course for Vega. The battle began at the edge of the system. The coalition fleet stretched across the stars, a wall of alien power. Their commanders expected an easy slaughter. But the Armada did not scatter or hide. They advanced in perfect formation, meeting the enemy head-on. Fighter squadrons shot forward first, weaving through the darkness like rivers of light. They struck at enemy supply ships, cutting lines of support before the main fleets clashed. Behind them, human cruisers opened fire in coordinated bursts, their cannons thundering in rhythm. The first impact shook the void. Explosions lit the sky as ships fell on both sides. The coalition pressed hard, their sheer numbers forcing the Armada back. Human destroyers shattered under heavy fire, their crews sacrificing everything to hold the line. But humanity did not retreat. Ryan's voice carried across the Valor. "Target weak points. Don't fight their numbers, break their unity." The Valor darted through enemy lines, striking isolated ships and vanishing before they could respond. Other human vessels followed the same strategy, cutting the coalition apart piece by piece. At the height of the battle, Admiral Cole unleashed the Titans. The massive dreadnoughts advanced slowly, their hulls glowing as entire fleets fired upon them. Yet their shields held, bending but not breaking. Then their weapons came to life. From the Indomitable, a Titan dreadnought, a single cannon blast tore through 3 enemy cruisers at once. From the Eternal Flame, missiles rained down in burning arcs, shattering entire formations. The coalition fleet trembled. They had never seen ships of such scale and power. Still, the enemy pressed on. The Thaler ships charged with reckless fury, the Dran rained fire from long range, and the Xeric maintained strict battle lines. Slowly, painfully, the Armada was pushed toward the heart of the system. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Cole watched calmly. His voice was iron. "Now we strike." He ordered the fleet into a maneuver long prepared. Human ships split into 3 groups, weaving around the coalition's front lines. Fighters surged in waves, forcing the enemy to turn and scatter. In the chaos, the Titans moved forward together, blasting a hole straight through the coalition's center. The galaxy's largest fleet began to crumble. Hours passed. Space was filled with wreckage, broken hulls, and dying fire. The coalition fought with fury, but their unity faltered. The Thaler accused the Dran of cowardice, the Dran blamed the Xeric for hesitation, and their commands fell into confusion. Humanity pressed harder, striking with precision and will. Finally, the coalition fleet broke. Ships fled in every direction, chased by human fighters until they vanished into the dark. The Vega system belonged to humanity. When the battle ended, the Armada floated in silence among the wreckage. Many ships were lost, many lives given, but humanity had stood firm. They had faced the combined might of 3 empires and won. On the Valor, Myra looked at Ryan, her eyes shining with awe. "We did it. Against all odds, we did it." Ryan's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "This is only the beginning. They will never underestimate us again." Across the stars, the message spread. humanity had stood against the galaxy's greatest powers and broken them. The breaking point had come, and it was the galaxy not Earth that had shattered. The wreckage of the coalition fleet drifted in silence across the Vega skies. Broken ships, torn banners, and shattered metal floated endlessly, a reminder of what had just taken place. For the first time in history, three great empires had joined forces, and for the first time, they had been defeated by humans. Admiral Cole stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his gaze fixed on the scattered battlefield. The crew around him worked in quiet determination, repairing systems, counting losses, and tending to the wounded. Victory had been won, but it had not come without a heavy price. Reports came in slowly. More than 100 ships of the Armada were gone. Thousands of brave men and women would never return. Yet despite the grief, the mood was not despair. It was pride. Humanity had stood together, and they had broken the strongest force the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Families wept for those lost, but their tears mixed with cheers of triumph. Across the colonies, from Mars to Europa to Titan, people lifted their voices in unity. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not divided by borders or nations. They were one people, bound by survival and victory. The Council of Nations gathered once more, but the tone was different now. There was no fear, no doubt. Every leader knew the truth: humanity had claimed its place among the stars. Admiral Cole addressed them through a live broadcast. His face was calm, but his words carried the weight of history. The galaxy thought we were weak. They thought we would bow, that we would scatter before their power. But we stood, and we fought, and today we showed them that humanity will never kneel. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new age. The age of Earth united. Billions of voices across the system echoed his words. In the days that followed, messages began to arrive from across the galaxy. Some were filled with fear, others with caution, and a few with respect. Smaller civilizations, long trapped under the rule of stronger empires, now saw hope in humanity's rise. A delegation from the world of Terran sent a message: "We watched the battle. You fought with honor. If you will stand against the great empires, we will stand with you." Others followed. One by one, oppressed worlds reached out, asking for alliance, asking for protection, asking for the chance to be free. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had inspired countless others. The Armada returned to Earth for repairs, their arrival marked by celebration and mourning alike. Crowds filled the cities, waving flags and shouting in unity. Children looked to the skies, dreaming of ships and stars. Soldiers walked with heads high, knowing their sacrifice had changed the course of history. On the Valor, Ryan stood at the viewing deck with Myra beside him. The blue curve of Earth glowed beneath them, calm and beautiful after so much destruction. "We lost many," Myra said softly. Ryan nodded. "Yes. But their sacrifice gave us tomorrow. And tomorrow is worth fighting for." For a long moment they stood in silence, watching their home world turn slowly below. But the galaxy had not given up. The Thaler swore vengeance, the Dran prepared to rebuild, and the Xeric plotted in silence. Humanity knew more battles were coming. The difference now was simple: no one would ever underestimate them again. The Council ordered the construction of new shipyards, the training of more soldiers, and the forging of new alliances. The Armada would grow stronger, not just as a shield, but as a symbol of unity. Admiral Cole spoke privately with his commanders. His voice was firm. "We do not seek conquest. We will not become what we fought against. But we will defend ourselves, and we will defend those who stand with us. Let the galaxy learn that humanity is not a threat to peace but a promise of freedom." The commanders saluted, their eyes burning with conviction. Months later, the first new ships rolled out from the shipyards of Mars. Faster, stronger, and more advanced, they carried names chosen by the people: liberty, courage, hope, Unity. These ships were not just weapons. They were messages written in steel and fire, telling the galaxy that Earth had risen. Fleets were dispatched not to conquer, but to patrol and protect. When raiders attacked smaller colonies, humanity responded. When the Dran tried to reclaim a vassal world, human ships appeared and forced them to retreat. Slowly, humanity's reputation grew. They were no longer seen as weak newcomers. They were guardians, and their armada was the shield of the free. On a quiet evening, Admiral Cole stood on Earth's surface for the first time since the war began. He looked up at the stars, now alive with the movement of ships and stations. A voice spoke behind him, Commander Ryan. Do you think we can hold it, sir? This new place we've taken. Cole smiled faintly. We don't just hold it, Ryan. We build on it. Humanity is no longer hiding. We are no longer underestimated. The galaxy knows our name now, and it will not forget it. Myra joined them, gazing at the night sky. A new dawn, she said softly. Cole nodded. Yes. A new dawn for humanity. Above them, the Armada shone as bright as the stars themselves, a promise written across the heavens. And so it began. The galaxy had underestimated Earth. It had united to crush them. But in doing so, it had awakened something greater. The full might of humanity had been unleashed, and nothing could ever turn it back. The age of humanity had arrived.